Super Dirt Series 92 gets back on track on dirt with the Pennsylvania swing.
From riches to rags? Well, not quite. Brett Hearn says it's not time to panic.
While the Northeast Showdown faces up to rolling wheels this week on dirt.
The torch has been passed. A new generation born.
McCreadie, Hoffman, Hearn, the Johnsons, they're all here for the Northeast Showdown. Hi, I'm Andy Fusco. Welcome to This Week on Dirt. Joining me this week, Larry Newber. Larry, this is going to be a good one.
Andy, it will be a good one. Obviously, the most important dirt modified race of the week. And for me, the fascinating aspect of this race is its distance. 100 laps, sure to change the complexion. Now, later on this show, we also will take a look at the Super Dirt Series and a very candid conversation with Brett Hearn, a guy that a lot of people say struggling. He says, I don't think so.
Well, obviously, the Northeast Showdown is our featured presentation. Here's Paul Small.
About 2 weeks ago, a brand new car debuted on the dirt circuit and won in its very first race. Now, since then, the car's been raced 5 times. It's won 3 events. And at Fonda, the car was running second when it broke with leader Brett Hearn not too far in front of him. Billy Decker, you are the man to beat tonight here at Rolling Wheels.
Well, I'd like to hope so. This Wheels Discount Auto Supply store car number 91 is working really well, and we've had a good showing here last time, and hopefully we can keep up the momentum.
Now, when you put the new car together, did you ever think it was going to run this well this soon?
No, not really. We didn't. We're just trying something new with this 4-coil setup, and we really thought we was going to have to play with it a few races to get it dialed in, but it seemed to be pretty good right out of the box.
Bob McCreadie and a surprising Gary Tompkins would start on the front row of this 100-lap, $5,000 to win Northeast Showdown. Billy Decker, by the way, started in the number 3 position and was definitely a force here in the early going. McCreadie shot out front. Tompkins running in the number 2 spot with Doug Hoffman in the Coors Extra Gold car number 1, swinging his way onto the outside group to slip by Tompkins and go up into the runner-up spot. Decker started to fade backwards a little bit as Jack Johnson in the 12A started to move forward. Hoffman made a challenge on McCreadie in the early going. McCreadie running the very top of the racetrack. Hoffman trying the bottom lane in the Coors Extra Gold number 1. He could not get by the Kinney Trucks car number 9 on the inside. He even tried the extreme outside of the racetrack, but still, McCreadie held the lead. It was not a good night for the Freightliner Express car number 6 of Danny Johnson. Danny was buried in the middle of the pack in the first part of the race, and although he did crack the top 10, he later dropped out with mechanical problems. Brett Hearn had some sheet metal problems on the Auto Power 72, but he was running strong, along with the Lafroy 14J, none other than AJ Slideway's Alan Johnson. Alan started the race on the bottom of the racetrack and made a number of moves on the downside of the speedway, including a wild 20-lap-long battle with Jack Johnson for position. They ran high, they ran low, they ran up on Doug Hoffman. Alan snuck in front of him, then Jack snuck back in front of Alan and Doug. Wholesale position changes all the way around the racetrack. While this battle was raging, Billy Decker's night was ending on the outside of turn number 1. Decker with the wheels, car number 91, was out of the running as AJ Slideway's Alan Johnson finally got away from Jack Johnson to get the number 2 spot on the racetrack. He started to chase down the leader, Bob McCreadie, but McCreadie still looked invincible in car number 9. Jeff Trombley was starting to come up through the field. He started in the back reaches of the field and was coming up on the low side of the racetrack. His car hooking up very well. Now watch this. This is the pass that all but sealed the victory for McCreadie as he came through 2-lap cars in turn number 4 at what's gone down the front straightaway. Allen was left behind, but then McCreadie's car broke entering turn number 1. Rear end problem sidelined the apparent winner of the Northeast Showdown. That left Alan Johnson up front, but the battle was not over yet because Brett Hearn was right behind him in the Auto Palace number 72 car. Hearn tried in the closing laps to get him on the bottom, but Alan, running the top at the end of the race, went on to take the victory and the $5,000 payday in the Northeast Showdown at Rolling Wheels. Alan, did it feel good to win?
Yeah, it does. I was on the edge of my seat them last 2 laps. I was just hoping the car would hold out. I haven't won here in such a long time that, you know, it put some extra pressure on it, but everything worked out for the best, and the car was handling perfect.
You came through the field. You were running with Bob McCreadie for a good portion of the middle of the race. Then Bob, unfortunately, broke.
Yeah, I think Bob pretty well had me covered. I was doing all I could just to stay with him. It's a shame he broke. But, you know, this 100 laps, that's tough on a car.
Now, towards the end there, first Jack Johnson was giving you fits when you were running for second, and then Brett Hearn was giving you fits at the end. Did you think they could get by you on the bottom? Or?
Well, I didn't think he could, and I didn't really know Brett was that close. But I'll tell you, I could race with Jack like that 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. I've never had so much fun.
You know, we run hundreds of features every year on the dirt modified circuit, but when you watch a race like the Showdown, you just got to believe that somewhere in this country, drivers like Buzzy Rudiman, Will Cagle, and even Gary Yule, who won this race once, are paying attention. This is an important one to win.
Indeed it is. We'll have a preview of the Skoal Series coming up, but first, a look at some weekend winners. Yesteryear's victories come alive. Cagle's 24, Champagne's 8-ball, and the incredible Batmobile headline a car collection second to none.
The Champions Spark Plug Nationals, plus the Wheels Discount Auto Supply 358 Championship. Then Sunday, it's the big one, the richest.
For race drivers like Jeff Trombley, and yeah, for Andy Fusco as well, summer means the Skoal Super Dirt Series. It's time to get serious. The points are on the line. Here's Larry Nuber with the report.
The Skoal Super Dirt Series, 22 races spanning April to October, running long track, short track, paved track, many tracks the drivers visit only once each season. All the drivers will tell you it's the most difficult title to win in dirt. Now, this isn't the car that won in 1991, but it sure is the driver.
Besides being an endurance contest, it's a contest to see who came into the thing best prepared, really. I think to win that series, your ducks have to be in a row before the thing even starts. So you got to make sure that you've got the financial backing and you've got your equipment lined up and everything's ready to go when the series starts, because once you get into the thing, if you get caught behind, you never get caught up.
Well, the hardest part is going to so many different size and shape racetracks. You meet a lot of different surfaces. The track conditions change quite a bit. You got to learn your race car and learn your tires to really keep up with the guys.
The series is rewarding for those successful, and because of its prominence, it can also be very frustrating. Kenny Tremont, for instance, has finished in the top 5 of points 5 times since '86. And Doug Hoffman, in the same HEARN-dominated era, has finished bridesmaid 3 times.
Well, we're kind of tired of finish second in that deal, and last year we were real strong on the blacktop. This year we want to concentrate on being real strong in the dirt. I think we're getting geared up at the right time of year here, headed right into the start of the Skoal Series. It's a long, tough series. We're just going to do our best.
Do you feel like you have an advantage on the long tracks, the short tracks, maybe the paved tracks? Is there one place where you feel more comfortable than elsewhere?
I don't really think so. When you get the grind of the Skoal Series going, I think you hit on a night, you feel good no matter where you are, and then another night if you're off, well, it doesn't make a difference if you're on a mile or a quarter mile. It's all terrible.
I think it's worth it, especially for the sponsors and the younger guys that are doing it. It's real exciting. It's fun to travel around and go to all the new tracks, and but I think after you've done it for a while, it gets to be a grind.
Year-end money is paid on season point totals, occasionally creating a conflict. Do you charge for wins or cruise for points? Dr. J has 8 top 5 point seasons since '82, and although never close to winning, he's the favorite this year.
Points are just something that is like a little extra bonus, and you know, every race you just got to race for that race, and you know, do the best you can in each individual race.
Deeply rooted in the glorious modified traditions of the Northeast, this is the 21st season of the Skoal Racing Super Dirt Series. Past event winners include Toby Tobias Sr., Lou Lazaro, Buzzy Rudiman, and Donnie Kreitz Sr., and the significance hasn't been lost, even bringing back 2 dirt Winston Cup drivers who have won. Ty Scott, Gary Ballou, Kenny Schrader, and in 1989, believe it or not, Jeff Bodine. In motor racing's history, there have been some legendary dirt racetracks: Reading, Ascot, Langhorne, and Williams Grove. Now, the Skoal Series visited there once in the 1970s and has been there every season since 1988. The date of our Hall of Fame flashback, June of that year. The series returns to nostalgic Williams Grove in June 1988. Richie Tobias Jr. and Fritz Eppright share the pro. Tobias' father, Toby Sr., had shared victories with Lynn Paxton 12 years earlier. Many of the cars still show the influence of the original Gremlin design, as Billy the Kid Pouch ascends to the top spot in only 1 lap. Tobias and Tom Mayberry, our regular at Grandview, duke it out, and Doug Hoffman in the then-familiar 125 moves up to challenge. In a mid-race restart, Kenny Brightville's Blue Hen Special is indeed a sad animal as he is forced into the fence, ending his night. But this will be New Jersey night at the Grove as the Kid beats the ruling Empire Staters and the Keystone Cops. That's this week's Hall of Fame Flashback.
Larry had an interesting heart-to-heart conversation with Brett Hearn this week.
Andy, there are a lot of people out there who choose to look at Brett's 1992 season with a critical eye, but he gives us an entirely different angle.
And we'll see that interview right after this. Whole Racing Press have covered the Danny Johnson, Brett Hearn, and Orange County story pretty closely this year. We've talked to the car owners, we've talked to the mechanics, we've talked to Danny Johnson, but no one ever talked to Brett Hearn. Until this week, that is. Here's Larry Nuber with the Jet.
Difficult, very emotional decision, leaving such a successful team. What did you really anticipate was going to happen?
I'm not really sure if we had time to anticipate. We had a colossal job ahead of us in building 5 or 6 race cars, and that was enough by itself. But we also had to think about trailers, trucks, tools, a shop, you know, office.
Telephones, heat, light, rent.
All that stuff, you know. So, I mean, we had so much work ahead of us. I mean, it was just time to get down to business and hopefully be ready by the time the season started.
Okay, now you know everybody is always quick to look for criticism or weakness, and they're saying, oh, geez, Hearn, he's averaged 26 wins a year over the past 6 seasons. Boy, he must really be down.
Well, I'll tell you, you know, really, if you factor out the small block car at Middletown, our season is virtually identical to last year in the modified. We had a little bit of a cold start last year, and we still ended up with a bunch of wins. So our consistency has been there. You know, we've got the top 5 finishes, the seconds, and I think that anytime you can run in the top 5 consistently, the wins will just happen. We're very, very close to winning just about every race, and you're never going to do that. But if you can be close, then the opportunities will come your way.
Almost every great racing driver has had his arch rival, okay? Foyt had Parnelli Jones. He had 2 of them, actually, Roger Ward, and we were talking earlier about Senna and Mansell. Let's talk about Danny Johnson. Now, is it true, first of all, that when the short list was created with your leaving, he is actually somebody you suggested that they look at?
Well, I think it was pretty obvious that of all the guys that we've run against while I was at Freightliner, that Danny was probably the toughest, even in his own equipment. And the day that I left, I sat in the office with Ray, and he asked me who I would pick. And, you know, Danny was one of the guys that they had on their list, and he was one of the guys that I suggested as far as a guy that could out-and-out drive a race car. He was probably the guy that I would pick. And, you know, so they went ahead and they put the deal together with him. So, I mean, he hasn't thanked me yet, though, and I'm holding that against him. I mean, there's no more of a rivalry now than when he drove his own car, and you know, we've always been friendly. Not best of friends, but friendly, and you know, we're racers, and we all have to take care of our business, and so I don't think there's anything more than there ever was, but the fact of the matter is that now Middletown's got a guy that can come in and run with Brett Hearn on a regular basis, and that, you know, that's made the racing down there a lot better.
Do you notice it a little more when the red and white 6 is in front of you?
Well, you know, I mean, I want to beat him just like I want to beat everybody else, and you know, sure, I'd be lying to you if I told you it didn't make any difference. But you know, I've never shied away from a race at any racetrack because I thought it was too tough or the competition was too tough, and this is no different. I mean, this is just going to elevate me to another level, and that's really what I needed right now in my career. I needed to be elevated, and that's what I intend to do.
With the new bodywork, all the aerodynamics, and very tight quarters, have you ever wondered how the drivers get in and out of these cars? Well, ironically enough, it's the steering wheel. Here's Billy Decker with this week's Sunoco High Performance Report.
For this week's Sunoco High Performance Report, we're going to talk about quick release hubs on a steering wheel. Very important in a few aspects on a dirt modified. Number one, due to the tight compact of the driver's compartment in the dirt modified, taking the steering wheel on and off makes it a lot easier to get in and out of the race car. And number two, if an accident should occur and the driver becomes unconscious, the safety crews can very quickly remove the steering wheel and extract the driver from the car. Very simple to operate, the quick release hub locks automatically when you slide the steering wheel on the shaft. And to extract the steering wheel, just push a pin and pull the wheel off. Although the steering wheel comes on and off the car at will, it does not hinder the car's steering performance at all. For this week's Sunoco High Performance Report, I'm Billy Decker, driver of the Wheels Discount Auto Supply Store's car number 91.
I know those new steering wheels don't apply directly to highway driving like, say, seat belts and space-age metal, but I gotta tell you, the older I get, the idea of quick release in the garage becomes more and more appealing.
But imagine if you were Tommy Hager. Well, when the modifieds get fired up, it sounds like war in the air. I guess that's a dead giveaway to the next segment. Stick around. By land and two if by sea, it's the Weekend Wars on Dirt TV.
The weekend wars begin with Dr. J. Danny Johnson picking up the victory in the small block modified feature at the Orange County Fair Speedway. He was involved in a jingle in the big block feature that took him out of contention. Here's what happened at the end of the big block race. Frank Cozy, driving the 97, gets by the 74 Jeff Hetzler in traffic with 2 laps to go and goes on to take the victory. At the Lebanon Valley Speedway, this battle between Billy Decker in the Wheels 91 and Kenny Tremont in the 115 waged for several laps until Decker, using the inside lane off turn number 4, was able to make the pass going down the front straightaway. Decker would then run away and hide from the rest of the field and take the victory at Lebanon Valley on Saturday night. On to the 5 Mile Point Speedway. Here on the outside is the 3 of Chuck AKULIS, getting by the 5 of Tim Olensky for the number 1 spot at the halfway point of the race. Now, Billy Meade here in the black 92 found out that 3-wide traffic can be hazardous to your health. Everybody was able to slip by without making any contact. Meanwhile, Bill Williams in the white 92 found out that 92 is not a lucky number at the 5 Mile Point Speedway. The Junkyard Jet, Doug Worthing in car 73, made a last lap charge but could not get by Chuck AKULIS, who went on to take the modified feature event victory. This is what happened to Scott Schrader Friday night at Geneva at the Paradise Speedway. Ken Johnson was the apparent winner, but he was disqualified, and Tim Sebring wound up taking the victory Friday night. On to the Can-Am Speedway in Watertown, where here Dave Hayslip in the 84 does a little bump with Brent Cross in the 103. Jimmy Johnson led to win the event handily in the 711 with Rick Wilson not too far behind. Now, this is how Rick Wilson's feature started at the Cornwall Speedway on Sunday night as his 24 gets caught in a jingle, and this is how it ended. He had to come from the back of the field to the front twice, but got by Bill Mullen on this restart coming off turn number 2 and went on to collect a very popular feature event win at Cornwall on Sunday night. At Rolling Wheels on Monday, lap number 6 was a pretty hectic lap. Here, Guy Sheldon in the 518 spins collects a lot of drivers. Everybody pulled away from this incident under their own power. Here's start take number 2. Tim Clemens hits Darrell Ruggles in the 48, and Scott Schrader in the 58 is also involved. Several cars retired in this one. The third time was the charm for Chuck Bauer. On the third try for the lap 6 restart, Bauer got by Clip Warner's 14W and went on to take the Sportsman feature victory. The Cayuga County Fair Speedway on Sunday night. Barefoot Bob McCreadie in the Kinney Drugs car number 9 took off early, but Billy Decker was running the bottom of the racetrack and working his way forward. Here he gets by Alan Johnson and the Conley Lefroy 14J as they work through turns 1 and 2. You can see how high they were running on the cushion. Here, Danny Johnson gets into a shoving match with Steve Schultz. Danny would wind up coming out on the losing end of this deal as he was black flagged. You can see the damage done to his car after the contact with Schultz over in turns 3 and 4. When the racing went back under green, McCreadie slipped up on the cushion. Decker slipped underneath, and that was all she wrote for this feature race. Billy Decker went on to take his second victory in 2 days. That's the Weekend Wars. I'm Paul Small.
On this picture-perfect day at Rolling Wheels, it's time for the Fuji Points picture, and we spotlight the big block tracks. Starting at
Man who wins, the most prestigious race of the week. But when there are several events and one driver is winning a lot of them, it's kind of hard to look away from, Andy.
And we can't look away from Billy Decker. The Franklin Flyer is on fire. He's our Nice and Easy Driver of the Week. He gets $200 and a chance at the $1,500 Nice and Easy Driver of the Year award.